Hi, this is Pam and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to walk you around the garden and show you some of the damage after the snowstorm. The snow has melted. Now the snowstorm we got at the end of January. We have had beautiful weather through a good portion of February, even temperatures up to the 60s, and yet it still took a full month for all that snow to melt. It was very heavy, very wet, and then it froze solid. So it was like a chunk, 5 feet of ice. Anyways, because it was so wet, it did a lot of damage to my plants. Plants that have never been damaged by snowfall before. So I'm first starting off with, this is a bamboo. Now I have a video on how I divide bamboo to get more. I keep all my bamboo in pots and I have them on my deck and out in the garden. I like the tropical feel of them. But anyways, they usually come through the snow excellently. And usually I can get out and shake most of the snow off of it. But this was so fast falling and coming like overnight would get 2 feet. So that's why I couldn't get out here and get these cleaned off so that they weren't damaged. Anyways, many of them, like this is a piece that got snapped completely off. I will be walking around later on and I will be cutting them back. There's some that are bent and split, etc. It's not a big deal because bamboo is so tough that once the warm weather comes, they will just put up new shoots and be fine. Give them a good feed and they will take off and fill back in. And I will use these pieces as topiary supports, etc. later. So no great loss there. I have tons of Japanese maples that I'll zoom up on one right now for you so you can see what happened to them. So hopefully this is focused in the proper spot. But right here you can see where that limb that I had trained that way, let me move this back a little bit, is now cut off. There's still a little piece hanging on there and I could try to tape it up there and maybe it would go ahead and survive, but it's iffy. I may just go ahead and bind it and see what it does and maybe it'll retake. But that's typical, not typical, but that does happen with the Japanese maples that I have trained to drape, and that I usually try to put them under the deck so that they don't have to carry the weight of the snow and that happened to them. This snowstorm took us by surprise and I was behind schedule. So a lot of my Japanese maples sustained damage like that. So let's move on to a next area. Now up here, I think you can see, I got kind of a glare going on, my arbor. You see how it's kind of wonky looking? That thing was smashed all the way to the ground to the left over here. Over here, smashed down. I'll see if I can find the picture I took of it laying on the ground. I was afraid it had torn my Eden rose completely out of the ground, but it looks like it's okay. It might have pulled it up a little bit, but it didn't completely uproot it. I have some hydrangeas that really took a beating. I can zoom in there too, just one moment. This hydrangea here, let me point out, really got busted. It tore it away from the stem here. There's still some caught underneath the snow. This is super icy. And there's another big limb that got. So that tells me, this one's not in the ground. I have another one up there, up by the road. Let me see if I can get you up there. Up there, that's still under the snow. I'm afraid of what it looks like. It could have sustained equal damage. I may need to build frames, like A-frame type wood frames to put over it to protect it from winter damage because we get such heavy, wet snows. It's not light and fluffy like many places get. So roses, I have roses that also have damage. And you'll see this rose here, how it's smashed over the side of the pot. These are putting on new growth, but they also have some damage that I need. There's a limb there, lots of limbs come out here. I have to trim them back. That is why I typically, and I trim these back pretty good, I trim my roses back in late fall just because of the heavy wet snows. Many tell you wait till early spring. This is why I have to do it late fall. And if you get heavy snowfall too, you may have already realized that sometimes you need to adjust recommendations to your area and what's going to work best for you. There's no one size fits all. Anyways, let's go around back. I don't know if you can see it. Let me see. See if I can zoom down there. Can you see the iris? Right there. Little iris reticulata. I have a container on the back deck and I have some up in these containers up here. The one on my right isn't doing anything, but that one has a little one coming up. I hadn't been out here today yet. Today's a beautiful day, but starting tomorrow we're going to get more snow and rain all of next week, and it's going to turn really cold again. But that's okay. That's typical March for us. No surprise there. As you can see out here, there's still a lot of snow. There's nothing underneath there that I'm going to be able to cut back, fix until more snow melts. Now, thankfully, this next storm, we are going to get several inches of snow, but it's also going to have rain. So that means it won't stick around long and maybe melt away some of this too. So over here, let me zoom you over this way. Hopefully the light will adjust for you. Over here's my raised beds. These ones, this is usually my vegetable garden area. I have one more raised bed to put in over here. I like these metal ones. They've really worked well. They're lightweight. If I want to pick them up and move them, it's no big deal for me to do so by myself. Also, I can put them together by myself. I have filled them with soil, compost, logs, chicken manure, and I've let them sit over winter. It's kind of sank down. Then I have sown a cover crop of crimson clover. That will sprout, and then I can weed whack it down and then let it sit on top as mulch, and then I'll pull back when I want to plant things in those beds. But that's prepping the beds for spring planting. And you can see the milk jugs around it. That's my winter sowing of cold hardy annuals and perennials. Now come spring or warmer weather, maybe this middle of this month, end of this month, I'm going to also start some other seeds that aren't quite as cold hardy, but they will start outside. And that really helps if you don't have a lot of room indoors or have a greenhouse or lights, heated, grow lights, etc. So it really comes in handy. I do have grow lights inside. I just don't have enough space for all the seeds I want to start. And that being said, let's kind of zoom around past the ugly chicken house. Ta-da, that's going to be a total makeover. I keep telling you that, but it really is. And my greenhouse. I will push this down a little bit, yeah. So my greenhouse, the far panel still needs to be fixed up there. I'll push it up. We have everything to do the repairs, we just haven't gotten out here to do it. You can see the one panel here. This is my automatic lifting panel. It got a little warm in there, so the arm that lifts it automatically to vent it has popped open that little portion, and that's why that's open that way. But now the sun's gone behind the trees. That'll go back down really quick. So it's probably really nice in there to work. I need to get in there today. I've got elephant ears to get potted up. I bought a tall metal rack to put in here that I need to get put together in here. And I have dahlias to get started. So I've got a busy day ahead in here. Now that's pretty much it. Let's go to over by the studio and we'll see what over there. I haven't looked over there to see what needs doing. So over here is a pretty good amount of snow still that I'm walking on, but my pear tree, there's a big limb that is split away from the trunk. I'm gonna have to get that off of there. I'm inspecting these. This Japanese maple had gotten a really hard prune because I had let it get dried out. I thought I had lost it because all the leaves were dried up on it and everything, and I just pruned it back hard and there's new growth all over it. So I was fortunate that I didn't kill it. It was in a spot where I wasn't keeping an eye on it very well. This one over here, it's looking pretty good, but see, it's not one that I had trained to splay. This one has been trained and it's looking pretty good too. But I think it had more protection over here than the ones on my deck. So I do have a video up on how I prune and train my Japanese maples so I get that pretty draping effect. It's super simple. Some people may not agree with how I do it, but it hasn't harmed any of mine, and I get some really pretty draping shapes. So over here I can't really see much because it's still buried in snow. And a few of my roses up there need some pruning back, but that's the same as the ones I showed you up front. So basically, I'll turn you around. You can see what it's looking like now that it's a little barren of snow. It doesn't look like much because it's winter, and here everything's kind of in winter. So, oh, I do want to show you my two boxwoods against my studio. Do you see those? Those I bought as little bitty plants. I have a video, I think they show in my video of one of my Thanksgiving Christmas cactus videos, and they're real tiny. I was really surprised watching that, how much they've grown in the past year. I did a video of the difference, and then I never did post it. I may have to get that up there now. But, and behind that, those draping, what are those? Creeping, oh, not cedars. Junipers? No, they're not junipers. I can't remember right now. I keep forgetting, but I just love that chartreuse color. And I've got to get some nice pots for them, some nice terracotta pots to keep them right here by the studio. And my lovely little studio. Let me see. Ta-da! So there you have it, a quick look at my garden in winter underneath all the snow and all the repairs I need to do. So I will see you in the next video.